Hi there guys, and welcome once again to Jonesy's blog. Before I get on to how the tour of Italy went on and talking about new signings and everything, there's just one particular subject that I'm wanting to talk about, and that is the fact that we are supposed to be taking Nile Ranger on trial at the club. And I cannot stress enough how much I do not want this to happen and that I don't want anything to do with him being at the club. So before I get into reasons of that, let's just have a little bit of a history and a little bit of a check on Nile Ranger and his career in football and some of the off-the-field antics he's been up to. So Mr Ranger is 23 years old and he started off his career at in the youth academy at Crystal Palace, then moving on to Southampton where he met Mr Hockaday, and that's a reason apparently that he's meant to be bringing him to the club. And then obviously moved on to Newcastle. So it was at Newcastle between 2009 and 2013, and in that time made 51 appearances for them and scored 2 goals. Now in that time at Newcastle he had the loan spell at Barnsley, which was just 5 appearances, and he was also at Sheffield Wednesday for 8 appearances where he also scored another 2 goals. Then after that, and after leaving Newcastle, he went to Swindon. He was there for a season or a year, making 23 appearances and scoring 8 goals. So before we even get to the other issues, I mean, he's young, but he's not exactly one of the most prolific, goal scorers out there, and he's not the kind of, it's not really the kind of player I thought would that we'd be looking for. Really, it's been made clear that we clearly need some more strikers in, or someone else just to make up some firepower at the club. But again, I'll get on to new signings and everything in a minute. So that's his playing side, and that's his playing career. Now, off the field, he's definitely never been far from the media and from the news. Just a couple of things that we'll go through. I mean, when he's very young, he's been in a young offenders institute due to a robbery. He's been arrested on suspicion of assault. That's been several times. A few drunk and disorderly convictions there. He's been fined by the FA for making homophobic comments on Twitter. Quite a few years ago, for some reason, he decided to pose in a photograph with a replica gun. He's also had his name tattooed on the side of his head, because all really cool people do that. Again, he's been arrested on suspicion of rape, but that was later cleared of the charges. Again, more assault, and earlier this year the Mirror reported him, and there is a video to this, whether it was him or not, because it doesn't seem to have had as much media coverage as I thought, but if it is him, then it's absolutely disgusting. Of him hitting a girl repeatedly, about 3 or 4 times, whilst he was breaking into his own apartment because he forgot on his fob to get in there. So whilst he's kicking the door down, he's managing to hit a girl that he's brought home who was trying to calm him down. So in the past we've had players at the club that have definitely been have been no angels by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, obviously recently we've had Juve. Although most of his offences really have been stuff that he's done on the football field that weren't really very nice, and we've had a couple more sort of bad boys down the years and everything, but we've never really had anyone to that extent that has been involved in so many stupid things off the field. For me personally, I don't care what he's done or what he could possibly do or his potential to do stuff on the football pitch. I don't want someone like that clearly could be so destructive, so self-destructive. We don't need someone like that at the club. After everything that we have been through recently, we do not need a player like that is going to take away headlines, from the club and paint us in a bad picture, because we've had enough things, to do that over the years. So the last thing we need is another player doing something like that. We over the past few days, it's been a big talking point on Twitter and the majority of people have been sort of saying as I have, and just don't want anything to do with him and don't want him at the club. And then there's people going, oh, I don't care what people do off the field as long as they put the goals in on the on the pitch, then I don't mind what they do. But there's not even the backfall of that happening, is there? I mean, he's not like he's a top goal scorer. It's not like he's one of the best strikers out there. It's not like he's gonna. But to me, it doesn't even matter. Even if he was scoring goals on the pitch, if he then goes off the pitch and is questioned by police and taken to trial for, a possible rape charge or more assault, drunken disorderly, stuff like that. I mean, it's not going to last long at the club anyway if he's going to be doing like that. I think it's such a risk and such a stupid thing to do. I just don't see why. So far this pre-season, again, like I say, I'm going to get onto it in a minute. I've not been unimpressed by, I can't say I've been overly impressed, but I've not been unimpressed by, the signings that we've made. So this one that's just come completely out of the blue, I just hope that there isn't too much to it, and that it's a trial, and that they decide not to take him on. I hope it doesn't go past that, because like I say, I mean, I'm not sure what I'd do if we did sign him. I can't see myself supporting him. And I know people will look at me and say, oh, I'm sure if he scores a winning goal, against Millwall on first day of season, I'll be celebrating it. I probably would. I'd be celebrating the fact that Leeds United had won a game, but I still wouldn't be comfortable with him putting a Leeds shirt on and representing, my club, my team. Someone who's clearly got a little bit of a screw loose somewhere. I just won't be comfortable. That's just the way I feel about it. I really won't be happy with it, and I don't really see why Hockaday's even getting involved with him again, when there's so many other options out there. So for me, it's definitely a no to Nile. Like I say, I know there's plenty more people out there that do agree, but let me know your thoughts on him at least. So then we have the Tour of Italy. The players have just started back at Thorpe Arch today after their gruelling 2 weeks out in Italy, which sounded like a lot of hard work, some serious fitness going on there, and getting fitness levels back up. Hockaday said he believed that was the main area that needed to be improved from last season, and I definitely agree with him. I felt at times last season there were many games where we didn't look fit enough, and we didn't look interested enough in the game, and it looked like we just couldn't finish games off. So, like I said in the past, I can't say I was too happy about Hockaday coming, but kudos to him for pinpointing that as the first kind of thing to improve on. I mean, obviously, first thing back from holidays and that in pre-season, the fitness is the first thing to go for. But he seems to have really stepped things up, and the players coming back from Italy and saying it on Twitter have all seemed to have said the same thing, that it seems to have been the toughest 2 weeks that they've ever had in football. But they all seem to have enjoyed it, and it all seems to have been a very worthwhile trip. And that's all we can ask for, really. At the end of the day, it's if it's a trip that's made a lot of difference, it's brought all the lads back together. A lot of the signings have joined in whilst being over there, so it's brought them together as well. Everyone seems to be getting on together. From Adam Pope, who was out there, he always said that there seemed to be some good team spirit, and that's one of the most important things. Starting the season off is getting that team spirit back. The games that were played whilst we were out there, obviously that first one, the 16-0 scoreline, which I don't think anyone saw coming, but it seems like it was obviously very, 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 very amateur opposition that we were playing. But then again, Hockaday said it wasn't really so much as a pre-season friendly, it was just another training exercise. And for me, I didn't see anything wrong with it. A lot of people were saying, what's the point in it? But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter who you're playing. I mean, people out there who play football, and myself included, I don't play it anymore, but when I used to play Sunday League football, it didn't matter who you were playing, whether it was a lower opposition team or if you were just playing against yourselves. If you were scoring a goal or playing some good football there, it gets your confidence up. So in that 16-0 win, you know, we had Noel Hunt getting a hat-trick, we had Steve Morrison getting a couple, Matt Smith getting 6, and you know, a couple of other lads getting on the score sheet as well. And like I say, no matter who the opposition is, that's going to do so much for their confidence, especially Noel Hunt, who's wanting to prove himself so much this season. You know, I feel that should have done in the world of good. And then in the second match, obviously that Romanian team didn't turn up, so they just did an 11-a-side game, you know, between two Leeds United 11s. And again, you know, that seemed to have done him good. Hunt got on the score sheet again. So so yeah, the match is out there. People weren't expecting it to go the way that it did. But like I say, it seems like it's done the players a world of good, and they all seem in good spirits. If the fitness levels are up, then they can start getting into proper pre-season training. Now they're back in England, back on English soil, and of course the first real pre-season friendly coming up on Saturday against Guiseley, which I'm actually looking forward to now. I'm really looking forward to it. You know, we can look at the negatives off the field and other things, but in terms of getting back to being with the Leeds United fans and having a laugh and getting back into that match day sort of spirit kind of thing, I can't wait for it, so really looking forward to that. And also, you know, if there's going to be people there on Saturday at Guiseley watching this now, if you see me, come over, say hello, we can have a drink, we can have a natter about things. You know, don't feel afraid to come over and say hello and everything, so that'd be nice to see some more people out there. So, on to the signings. So we've made 4 signings so far. Excuse me. It's going to be 5th signing, hopefully sometime soon. We're meant to be getting this Berardi, is it Berardi, from Sampdoria, who I'm just going to say now, these signings I'm not going to talk too much about because I don't know nothing about them, just like most people are like that. So we've got this Berardi coming in. We're meant to be interested in this Viviani, I think, from Roma. Meant to be spending about 2 million on him, so it sounds like he might be a decent signing to get, but it seems like a few more clubs might be in for him, so we'll have to see about that. So the 4 signings that were made, we got Stuart Taylor, the keeper, who must be a backup keeper, I would have thought, because I mean he's hardly made any appearances you know, over the past couple of years. It seemed a bit of an odd one at the time, but I suppose, you know, it's an experienced keeper as backup, which is always useful. We've obviously got Silvestri, who's the younger keeper, and he seemed to, you know, people seem to be saying good things about him. You know, the players and Neil Sullivan, the coach, said he's showing a lot of promise and everything, which again gives me a little bit of doubt. You know, the fact that it says he's showing promise, I'd prefer him to be already, you know, kind of past the promise stage if he's going to be our #1 keeper. But again, you know, good things have been said about him. We've got Bianchi, who's the midfielder, who again I don't really know much about, but hopefully see some of him at Guiseley. And the Solomon Dukara, I think is it, who we've actually got on loan for a season, but with a view to buy after the year, of course. And he seems to be a pretty big centre forward, so another one sort of similar to Matt Smith. So that's why I think that, you know, there must be another, definitely, you know, should be getting another striker in, someone a bit different. But then again, you know, if Morrison and Hunt are showing promise, then they might be the ones scoring all the goals this season. So so those are the signings we've got in so far, and Hockaday's promised that there's definitely going to be more in sort of over the next few weeks, definitely before the start of the season anyway. So, you know, although I'm still, you know, I'm not overly excited about the start of the season, and I still don't particularly fancy our chances at all. You know, I'm not feeling as down about things before. I think now it's getting closer to the season. I think we all do it, don't we? You know, we can be negative about certain things, but as soon as it gets closer to the season, that excitement starts to build a bit. But, you know, I still have to be realistic about things and say, you know, the squad really does need to improve a lot first before we start getting carried away with ourselves. But the proof's in the pudding, and you know, we can't really judge too much until we've seen them all perform together. So that's what these are all these friendlies are about, and what the pre-season matches are about, so we can get a little bit of an idea then. And then obviously go into the first game of the season away at Millwall. So yeah, that's all I got to say, guys. Obviously, once again, let me know your thoughts on the possibility of having Nile Ranger at the club. Whether you'd want to give him the chance, or if like me you'd really uncomfortable having him at the club. And then, what do you think about the signings? Are you happy with the ones we've made so far? Are you happy with the ones that we seem to be getting linked with? And are there any more that you'd personally like to see come in before the start of the season? So yeah, that's all from me today, guys. As I say, if there's any of you heading to Guiseley on Saturday, then look out for me. I should have my lead shirt with Jonesy on the back. So come and say hello if you're making that trip. As always, guys, thank you very much for watching. Leave your comments below or at my Twitter at ChrisJonesLUFC, and I will see you all very soon.